Hello and welcome. Today's discussion is going to be on the rapid rise of death doulas, also known as end-of-life doulas, and what the schools that provide certification, I say that loosely, rarely tell prospective students, along with some discussion points. I really appreciate Jessica Sadler. She had some very good back and forth discussions with me today, and I'd like to share that with you. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. My name is Peter Abraham. I'm a second career registered nurse focused in the areas of advanced illnesses, typically those that would qualify for either palliative care or hospice care. Those are two very closely related but often confused services between one another, even by healthcare professionals. I'm also an end-of-life doula and a health navigation specialist for Compassion Crossing LLC, that provides on-site services in Madison County, Kentucky, the 7 immediate surrounding counties, as well as globally from a telehealth teleconsulting service. And in this channel, we have different conversations for my fellow hospice colleagues, for my fellow holistic nurses that I count myself one of, for interested individuals, caregivers, family members, and many end-of-life professionals who are either death doulas or those who are interested in becoming one. And if these are topics of interest to you, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, as it does help small channels like mine. So before we go forward with today's discussion, I want to ask you, what are you grateful for? We live in a tumultuous world. A lot of stuff typically happens around us and to us, sometimes several times a day, sometimes several times a month. No one is without some type of loss, trauma, or grief. What are you grateful for? So for me, I'm grateful that I have an opportunity this coming week to, as much as I'm a nervous wreck about it, nervous Nelly, to go on a road trip with a dear friend where I'm the appointed driver out of state and back. And it'll give good conversation time, and hopefully we'll still be friends when we're back. I appreciate Ted so much, and we'll see how that goes. And I'm also grateful because I will hear from people who became a death doula just by reading this book, Becoming a Death Doula Complete Guide. It's rather thick, and that's why I wrote it 8.5 by 11, because it would be a monster of a book at 6 by 9. But when it comes to, and this is going to be going into today's conversation, being a death doula, this is an unregulated industry. You could wake up one morning and say, I am a death doula. And guess what? You are. Because there's no regulations. There's nothing saying that you have to be certified. And certified only means that you went to a training program that provided you with a graduation diploma. It is not the same as, nowhere near close, being a certified nursing assistant, a certified public accountant, a board certified patient advocate, or a licensed professional such as an LPN, licensed practical nurse, or an RN, a registered nurse, and so on. It is literally that you took training from an unaccredited school, whether that training was a couple hours, several days, several weeks, and you got a diploma. And what the schools rarely tell people, and I'll be putting a link in the description below, and I do want to spend more time getting over to the discussion with Jessica, but just to go over briefly, what is a death doula? A death doula has been around for an extremely long period of time. I do take argument, for lack of better words, with some who's from Adam and Eve. We have no documented history of that, but it has been around for at least several centuries. And in the beginning, there were no death doula schools. You either were volunteering at a hospice provider, or you were helping out at local homes, or helping different families, and you, for lack of better words, got used to death and dying as a natural part of life, and you were able to help others through that journey from a non-medical perspective. Non-medical, just to be very clear, is very equivalent to a hospice companion volunteer. Non-medical, you're not giving medications. You might hand them to the person. they have to take them themselves. You're not feeding the person, you're not repositioning the person, you're not bathing the person, you're not changing the person, you're not doing wound care or helping with wound care. It is literally non-medical. It is a non-clinical, you getting the drift? It's a non-clinical position. And you might be going, well, non-clinical, what do they actually do? Well, when it comes to what we do from the non-clinical perspective, is providing physical companionship, emotional support, spiritual support, education and guidance through the death and dying process. And when we talk about this, part of the reason that I wrote this, and I do need I feel compelled to share this story. So just the other day, I had somebody reach out to me on Facebook Messenger. She goes, "Are you the Peter Abraham that used to be a part-time instructor for," and I don't want to name the institution, but if you look at previous videos, you'll be able to figure this out yourself. You were a part-time instructor, you did continuing education, development and training for the institution. Are you still associated there? No, because they did a number of unethical things. They literally screwed over 1/3 of a class that Pamela, won't mention last name, ran at this institution, where Anna, the founder, refused to budge and make any restitution whatsoever to 1/3 of the entire class. And even though I, quote, graduated that class last October, did every portion of it, including taking the final exam, getting 100%, still don't have my graduation diploma. And so a number of other students don't as well. Again, screwed over, no ethics whatsoever. And this person said that's what's happening to their most recent cohort, number 27. And this is sad because while they didn't pay, this person didn't pay this fee, this is more closer to what another famous, I don't know if there's still a hospice RN, but she started a death doula school. She charges about this toward $3,000. But it was still, for what this person paid, was the equivalent of a mortgage check or 1 month rent, maybe 2 months, depending on what a person lives. And she felt that she did not get value for what was paid, and that there was unethical things going on. These schools are unaccredited. My own school is unaccredited. I do try to run it ethically, and that's its own story there. But a death doula, this goes over again. I'll let you read the article. It's back from Grecian times, very similar to birthing doulas, but the other end of the spectrum. Here gives an example. Death doula, can't touch the feeding tube because, again, non-clinical. But it's a very fast-growing field. A very fast-growing field. There's a school that advertises frequently on Facebook, and depending on the ad that's going, there's over 500 comments and almost 100 on the one of the threads as well. People asking. In fact, this is the school which is associated more with this price tag on up. So that's heavy when you consider that it's not accredited. Please let that sink in. When I went for my associate degree to become a nurse, and I do have my bachelor's, but when I went for my associate degree, I think it was what, 1,000 to 2,000 per semester. But when I got credits from that school, it's a accredited school, so I could transfer those credits. So if I go, hey, one of these days I want to go for my MSN, my credits for my associate, my BSN, all of those can transfer because it's accredited. Non-accredited schools, doesn't matter what they write on the transcripts. The credits are not worth anything. You cannot transfer them to another school. If the school does give experience for For life lived experience, it's a different story, but it's not because of the school, it's because of life credit. But the schools are growing extremely fast, extremely fast. And with that growth of schools, there's a lot of ethical issues that are going on, or I should say, lack of ethical issues going on. And part of the issue is that these schools are not educating prior to being paid. You talk about informed consent before. Let me give you an example. It's not going to be 100%. It's not going to be apples to apples. This is going to be an apples to orange comparison. I'm letting you know that in advance. But the concept is the same. So one of my colleagues who really appreciates what I do in the dementia care field said, Teeter, how much does it cost for an hour of my time for dementia care coaching? She wants to gift one of her couples, one of her clients, a husband and wife. She wants to gift them 1 hour of my time. Appreciate that. She would pay me. I'd go do the service. And I said, wait a minute here. I appreciate that. But ethically, I want to validate that I'm a fit for them. Because I want my friend to get her money's worth. I want this couple to get their money's worth, even though they're not paying. It's gifted. So I said, I will give them a free consultation. Now, normally mine is 30 minutes, but I said, even if it takes an hour, I want them to feel comfortable that I would be their person, that I'd be able to meet their needs. And then, if they want an hour of my time, then my colleague would then pay me. But that's called informed consent. That's called validating the relationship. So here the school, instead of telling the students before a single penny, or I should say nickel, because there's no pennies anymore, before a single amount of any currency goes between the student to the school, instead of telling the students, almost no one hires a death doula. Almost no one hires a death doula. There are close to zero salary or hourly death doula jobs. Close to zero. Please let that sink in. Because a lot of the schools out there, even the ones that I do appreciate, will say, make a career out of it. Most people take the word career as I got income coming in on a consistent basis. Most people think of a career as sustainable income, a living wage. And if not a living wage, some type of recurrent income, whether it's every 2 weeks, even if it's monthly, but it's the same in and out. They can count on it. They can count on it. The schools don't tell you in advance of you sending them money to sign up. There's close to zero. Close to zero. I don't even know if it would ring on a percentage meter. It's that close to zero. The people who are in this industry, and that it doesn't include me, we are either volunteering. About 2 weeks ago, I volunteered sitting for death vigil, and this was a case where the person wanted to pay me. Very weird, hopefully in a good way. I didn't feel comfortable with everything going on with this person was going through. I said, this is a gift from me to you. And charity is the decision maker of the person giving, not the person receiving. And I felt comfortable. I sat vigil 2 different days. And I often, and I shouldn't say often, I did include a level of consulting and teaching and education with that because I like giving back. But I also have cases like with this dementia care coaching, where if I am a fit, I'm going to accept my colleagues, here's $80, and I'm going to take it to the bank. But here, that's far and in between. That's far and in between. People doing this were either volunteering, which means it's $0 and 0 cents, or we're running our own business. We're paying for insurance. I have both malpractice insurance for my RN license, and I have errors and omissions insurance through CM&F. There are business expenses involved. There's going to the tax accountant. There's filing a tax return for the business. There's a lot involved with this. And if you don't take that into account and you pay the money and then find out, what schools are doing, by the way, to try to be ethical, but to me it's not, because they didn't give the consent in advance. Consent in advance is say, well, because our course, we're going to give you a free business 101 course. That's one of the place that I left. They don't tell you in advance there are close to zero jobs for you, that you're going to be running your own business, and that most of us running our own business do not have a living wage. I've been doing this is now my second year. Keep in mind, I'm a registered nurse doing this, and I love doing it. It's a passion point. My second year, the clock's still running for August as we're filming this, but from January to July, I believe it was close to $7,000. Not 7,000, close. So it's not even 1,000 a month, and I'm not making 1,000 a month it's not like a paycheck. And then when you take out the expenses to run the business, I have a little over $2,000. So imagine trying to live on 2,000, I think, well, I'm going to throw out a ballpark number, $2,400. Imagine living on $2,400 over 7 months. Could you do it? I certainly can't. That's why I have multiple sources of revenue, because I can't live on $2,400 over 7 months. Please let that sink in, because they don't tell you that until after. In fact, they don't tell you that after they get the check. They give the illusion of how much money you can make. And oh, by the way, because you spent this much money with us, we're throwing in a free business 101 class, as if they're doing you a favor. The favor would have been being honest from the beginning. That's the favor, being honest from the very beginning. Not take your money, thank you so much, here's a surprise. Oops. You're kidding me. There's a number of reasons why I no longer associate myself with that school that I got certified through. And I told the person the other day, I gave up a lot of money, not just because I got screwed out of money, but also gave money up from a point of view. I was putting together I think it was a 16-week course based on my book, One Boston, you didn't know it, so to speak. But I was putting in a 16-week course based on this book, Crucial End of Life Conversations, because the schools are often weak on how do we communicate with the different families based on the different dynamics that can happen. What if they're in denial that they're terminally ill? What if the family wants a feeding tube for their loved one who said they don't want one? How do you have these conversations? So this book, one moment here. Okay, 13 chapters, appendix A through I. We go through just the highlights. Talk about natural dying, nutrition conversations, hydration conversations, mouth care conversations, pain conversations, breathing, sleep, anticipatory grief, validation therapy and end of life, conversations about palliative care, conversations about hospice, essential communication techniques, conversations about working with different family dynamics, the gift of compassionate conversations. So I was going to teach this over 16 weeks. The initial charge that they were going to do, and this was going to be, I was going to be teaching this in, I believe it was early 2026, $800 to start, and then the following year it would be pushed up towards $1,000. Well, I was going to get 60% of that from every student. They had close to 20 students signed up, so and it wouldn't be hard to go up to 20. So 20 students, the school would have made $16,000, and I would have made $9,600. That was just for 16 weeks. And then maybe take a break, and how many, 52 divided by 16. Let's say I'm teaching 3 times a year. 3 times 9, $28,800 if I taught it 3 times a year. and I gave that all up. Why did I give that up when I was guaranteed to have students? Because they were pushing to get students, and they weren't teaching what I wrote about in that book. Um, why would I give up $28,000, or at least I should say the potential to have made $28,000, because my name and my integrity and my character matter more. Ethics always matters. Ethics always matters. Being a truth teller always matters. And when I saw that Anna and Pamela were screwing over people and not taking uh, responsibility for it, not owning up to it, not making things right, not even trying to budge, not budging one iota. It was like, no, you know what? It's not about the money. It's about the person on the other end. Moving forward, because if you've been watching this channel, I go on rabbit trails. So Jessica Sadler, end of life doula. I'd have to double check what CPO stands for. She's a qualified advanced directives facilitator. I only know that because I considered getting certified in that area. And when I talked to Honoring Choices of Virginia, that's where that is from. It was like they visited my website, and I had a conversation. They said, Peter, you could be teaching what we're teaching. And I appreciated that. That was very encouraging to me. It's like, no, you have your registered nursing license. As long as you maintain that, you're good to go on advanced care planning for anyone in Virginia. And I'm in Kentucky, by the way. But here, I know you could read this, but just to play safe for anyone who might be just listening, but for something with 0 accredited certifications, keep that in mind, 0 accredited certifications, 0 legal requirements, is just hiring a helper. And one thing to keep in mind when we talk about hiring a helper, which is another reason why we're last on the totem pole, what type of help can we do? It is literally with our mouth and with our presence. And I believe presence is extremely powerful. But if a family member is struggling and they need somebody to provide help with wound care, they need somebody to give the actual medications, not just hand it, they need somebody to reposition their patient, they need somebody to bathe and change the patient, they're going to be spending money on those services, and whatever's left over, if anything, would go to a death doula. They're not getting, hospice is in and out. That's been the argument for the rise of death doulas. Hospice is in and out. The nurses is in and out in 30 minutes or less. The aide might be 30 minutes to an hour, but the aides, the organization here in Kentucky where I live, the nurses, this is a broad schedule. I'm not saying person by person. 1 time a week for the nurses, 3 times a week for the CNA. They're not there every day. They don't come several times a day. So who fills in the gap? A lot of times when the families get overloaded, they're looking to hire people. They're looking to hire medical help, not non-medical help. We're last on the list when it comes to the dollars that are available. It's not that our emotional support doesn't matter. It's not that our spiritual support doesn't matter. It's not that our education doesn't matter. They need more hands-on than anything else. And that's not something that anyone who is only an end-of-life doula can do, because it's a non-medical support person. Now, in the case of Peter, registered nurse plus doula, or the case of the person I was communicating with, which I'm not going to give their roles because I don't want to have, if Anna is headhunting, well, who spoke out, from cohort, from this cohort, I don't want to share their qualifications, but hey, if you have multiple qualifications, you might be able to help out. But with this, we're last on the list. We're last on the list. So here, most people calling themselves doula can't even think through basic needs of people. Please let that sink in. This is not me saying this, but I am in complete agreement with Jessica, because she's not the first one to say it. Dr. Kevin Dieter has brought up similar concerns, where they're going through all these training programs that are completely unaccredited, no government oversight, no oversight whatsoever. They're churning out people, here have a certificate, there have a certificate, not even giving them informed consent that certificate means nothing. It means nothing. You can print your own certificate. When we say unregulated, it means no regulation. You could draw on a piece of paper, I'm a certified death doula, and guess what? You are. You don't need a certification from a school. You can literally write your own. I'm certified. Come up with a company name, have the company name certify you. You're certified. That's what I mean when there's zero legal requirements. None. That is both good and bad. That is both good and bad. But there's training programs out there that they don't teach the individuals how to think about the basic needs of the people that they're serving. Jessica here saying, she took several courses just to see what others are learning, and a lot of it is rote information on death and dying. They really should be, they're 101 college classes, just an overview. Just an overview. Can you imagine sitting with somebody? And air hunger, by the way, is a very rare thing at end of life, but if it happens, air hunger is extremely different than end of life breathing. And granted, that's a clinical skill to recognize the difference, but let's say that the school didn't go over the types of breathing patterns just to give you an idea of what to expect, and then you're there with somebody who's dying and they're going through this. What are you going to do? You're going to run away, or you're going to pretend? I've had people in the most active end-of-life Facebook group on hospice, literally, this blew my mind. They're putting in ChatGPT answers straight from ChatGPT into the group. All right, number one, anyone who knows ChatGPT knows what the output looks like. They know that you're using ChatGPT. I'm not saying everybody can see that they're using that, because some people, maybe they've never seen the output. But they're putting in the output, and some of the stuff they're saying was completely false. Because they don't know. There's no basic thinking. There was no preparation. So here, doctors avoiding hospice, families avoiding conversations, and the whole point of doulas is to get to know the whole picture so that we can help, that we can intervene, that we can advocate, and that we can make a difference here. And there are good death doulas. I believe, and granted, I am biased. I'm a good death doula. I believe Jessica's a good death doula. And by the way, as I say this is not to say when I say somebody's good or somebody's not. I want to be very clear. It doesn't mean like, oh, we're buddies and we agree on every single thing. We don't. But I appreciate Jessica, and I agree with the overwhelming majority of what she says. And she takes what she does extremely seriously and ethically. So I appreciate that. So I shared with her, the industry is beautiful. I do support the industry, even though you might, Peter, you're ragging on. No, I'm ragging on the schools that are unethical. That's who I'm ragging on. The industry is beautiful, but I can continue to hear from those who are struggling. And this is where I share the story. How many people they go through here, they get sold a ball of wax. Take this course from a certain, go to a certain school and you can earn a living. We need more honesty before money exchanges hands. Literally, before money exchanges hands, the prospective students need to know what they're getting for what they're paying. They need to understand what they're getting for what they're paying. I've had death doula schools that they don't even teach what death and dying is, which literally blows my mind. Are you kidding me? How do you not teach about death and dying? Here she's saying, more people, how do you death doula? If they could shadow her. No, follow. Oh my word. And then you talk to them, and I've been through this too, where I've given up on certain social media groups where, I've been doing death doula for 2 years and I don't have a single client. What's going on? What do I need to do differently? And several months prior, maybe even a year prior, several of us are saying, get out there and network. Get out there and network. Be in your community. Provide education in your community. And here, I'm going to share with you, keep in mind, August is not over. I put in, mainly so I don't forget, it's very rare for me to change my mind and not go to a business venue, but by August 31st, if nothing changes or I have no additional clientele to meet, 1,606 miles of driving year to date. It's a lot of miles. Granted, I drove far more in hospice. But LinkedIn has a comment limit. But I joined the Madison County Department of Health. They have a community health initiative plan called CHIP. I became part of their aging. They have 3 subcommittees: aging, mental health, and housing. I joined the aging committee because even though I would have loved to have been all part of all 3, I'm a human rights advocate. I had to pick one because I can't sit at all 3 tables. And out of that, I volunteered to be a person on a subcommittee of that, where I'm collecting names of speakers that have expertise in certain areas, like elder law, like I put myself down for dementia. I have Meredith from the Alzheimer's Association filled out for dementia. And we have a number of other people who have filled out forms, and I'm collecting speakers because we're going to be putting together a series, a 12-month series. We have no date, so please, this is all up in the air. But I'm meeting with them. I met with them in July. They skipped August. Our next meeting is they think it's the first Tuesday in September. We're getting together again. That's not part of the mileage number, by the way, because that's in September. This is August. So, but I'm part of that. I started volunteering at Spring Arbor of Richmond for their Families for Family dementia support group. We're meeting every other month. I'm actually going to be doing a presentation on validation therapy, God willing. He knows the future. But if all goes well, I'm still alive. They haven't changed their mind. I'm going to be doing a presentation on validation therapy for those who attend on Friday, September 18th of this year. Coffee talk, networking, various types of health networking groups. Next meeting is the 21st of this month. Happens to be at Spring Arbor of Richmond this month. They change location every single month. I'm part of a brand new startup caregiver support group done by Cornerstone Caregiving. Right now, meeting frequency is still under discussion. That we had our first meeting, I think it was 2 weeks ago. And so I'm part of that. I'm doing my first death over coffee and tea the last Saturday of August. I am thinking about how do I put together a free or low cost advanced care plan and clinic, and could I get the city involved? I met with the mayor, I think less than 2 weeks ago. They had a Berea Helping Marians get together at the Russell Action Center, and I met with Mayor Bruce Fraley. Number one, please, could you list my website on your Berean caregiving page? Yes, they can do that. They've not listed it yet at the time of this filming. But they actually have a picture of me and the mayor speaking. But I want to talk to him in the not too distant future. Could we get the Russell Action Center at no cost if we could put together not a last will and testimony clinic. They did that last August with a bunch of lawyers. But I want to see if I can get a number of people to volunteer with me, alongside me, and have a advanced care planning clinic. If it's free, we're probably going to be using free state forms or maybe AARP's form, or I could be doing it value-based. I might have that like as an add-on. I don't know. But these are parts of like my brainstorming of being out there in the community. I've done Dementia Care 101. I've done Dementia Care Options. I've had What is an End-of-Life Doula, the Circles of Care, and just being out there. This coming Tuesday, so that you know, I film in advance. This is going to be, I believe this is going to be published on Friday, August 21st. Don't quote me because I've moved videos around from time to time. It's something I just, the other day, it's like, oh my word, in the video it says this should be published at the end of July, and it was published in a couple weeks into August. It's like, oops, I'm sorry. But here, Tuesday, 18th, Business Brew Network, going to that. So you're networking, you're getting your name out. here August 24th, the couple where I'm doing the advanced care planning for, the one spouse, the other spouse is seeing what their loved one is going through with the 16-page value worksheet. I have a 16-page value worksheet and 12 value-based decision aids, in addition to other paperwork before we even get to the legal forms that they fill out. They fill out their own legal forms. I provide guidance, but the spouse is seeing, wow, this is really helping their loved one. I hear back from the other spouse who's my client. They want to do it too. Can we have another packet? Thank you, God. Gratitude point, more income, but it's also sporadic. It's also sporadic. I don't know what right now. I'm filming this on Saturday, August 16th. We're approximately halfway through the month. But even with that, the 24th, that client on the 24th, where I'll be getting the spouse, this still might be my lowest income before expenses month. Now, fine print. I met with somebody. Before I forget, August 20th, I'm involved. 4 of us are 4 keynote speakers. I've been selected as one of 4 subject matter experts. We're in Garrard County. We're doing a Legacy Foundation planning workshop for farmers and small business owners. And I'll be talking about advanced care planning, as well as having the opportunity to promote my advanced care planning and my other services. But I met with a person who's putting that together, and they're considering whether they're going to hire me for themselves and their spouse, their spouse, and their oldest child. So that would be 1 to 3 people additional. So if I get all 3, and plus the one with the 24th, it'll be among my top 3 paying months. But if I don't get that until, let's say, September, I just get the spouse, August might be among the lowest months. I'm grateful, by the way. I'm not saying this in complaint. I'm being transparent with you, because the income for those of us who are getting paid are sporadic. We're unplanned. I've had cases where I go to meet somebody. Oh, I wasn't prepared to pay for today. I thought today was, and it turned out to be another free consultation. It's like, this is fine. I'd rather you be comfortable with me than not. Because people are people. Life is messy. And this is not about me wrangling them. This is about me making sure that they're 100% comfortable. This gets into the ethics. 100% comfortable with what they're going to be receiving from me. That's why I want to do the free consultation with this couple over dementia care. And then if it's a fit, then I'll let my colleague pay me for that hour of time. And who knows, if their clients rave, who knows? Who knows what will happen? I don't even want to predict, because if she watches this, if you watch this, please don't take it as I want you to pay for 2 hours or more. I'm grateful for the 1 hour if you're watching this. But who knows? I want people, this is part of ethics, informed consent, making sure that when people spend their good money, that they know what they're getting, and they know what they're getting into, and they know what they're receiving, and they receive good value. So in ending, my call for the schools, and to be honest, I write these articles sometimes months in advance. My article for the schools is standardization, informed consent on the outcome. I do want to see minimum training standards. I do want to see industry-wide regulation. To me, it does not have to be the government. I would rather have self-regulation, and it has to be broad if it is self. I want to be very clear. The reason that I say this, and I do need to say it, I know you might be Peter Rabbit Trail, I do need to say this. There are some institutions that are putting together a board where they're going to include doctors, nurses, social workers, and other parties to validate the people that are certified through their schools. Couple things on that, please. This is important. Number 1, it doesn't change the meaning of the word certification. It's still a graduation diploma. It's still an unaccredited school. Those credits don't go anywhere else. Number 2, and very, very critical, the schools are cherry picking the people who are on the board. So unless those people believe in the same ethical standards or lack thereof, they're not going to be on the board. So if the death doula school does things that are highly unethical, and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying everybody joining their board is unethical, but they're creating an echo chamber. They are creating an echo chamber. Please let that sink in. We need more people in the world critically thinking. They're cherry picking who's going to be on their board. It's going to be an echo chamber. If you want self-regulation, you need across the board. You need broad spectrum. You need opposing views. You actually have to go by the dictionary definition of the word inclusive, which means you're not excluding people who have the exact opposite point of view of you. You're including people even if they think opposite of you. So you get all the different sides and you have polite dialogue. Now, you do have to have rules, polite dialogue. You need to be able to come to a quorum. You have to watch with echo chambers for that. But I believe we could do better. I know we have to do better. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I thank you so much for your time. Take care and bye.